How's everyone doing? Thank you all for being here. Bruce, enjoyed your comments. Charnel, Herring. We're all friends. There's a lot of us here in this race, as you know. I think as of 3:25, there are 10 of us in the race. There could be many more. And of course, we welcome that. We're friends before and we'll be friends after. And I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you here, and of course, my opponents as well. I'll talk right in. How's this? This is better. Well, thank you all. Again, my name is Patrick Hope. I'm a delegate in the Virginia General Assembly. I represent part of Arlington County and have held that position for 5 years. My wife, Kristen, and I moved to Northern Virginia 14 years ago. We have 3 beautiful daughters. Emma is 8 years old in 2nd grade. Patty and Lily, our twins, are 5 years old, and they are in kindergarten, and they're all in Arlington Public Schools. And I will tell you, of all the titles that I possess in my life, Dad is my most favorite and the one I'm most proud of. And they are partially the reason why I'm running for Congress. The reason why I ran for a House of Delegates seat is because I felt very strongly about protecting those that are most vulnerable amongst us. People that really get the short end of the stick, people that don't have a voice, people with disabilities, both physical and mental, senior citizens, people that are discriminated against. And those are the areas that I champion in the Virginia General Assembly, and why I also want to be your congressman for the 8th District. Now, one also a reason why I'm running is because I think we need to stand up to the Tea Party and the right wing of the Republican Party. And yes, and even people within our own party. You know, when I was elected 5 years ago in the legislature, it didn't take long for me to realize that even people within our own party don't support the progressive values that we all stand for. People voting, Democrats voting for redistricting, that made us in a permanent, I will look like at least the next 10 years, a permanent minority. People supporting payday lenders. If you go down Route 1, you can't throw a rock and not hurt a payday lender. These groups that prey on really poor seniors, charging 300 and 400%. It really is a disgrace. And I support what Elizabeth Warren has put out to turn our postal service, what used to be banks that allow people to have small interest loans, low interest loans. There's no reason to take advantage of our poor, and of course it's a spiraling effect. And so those are one of the things that I want to take to the legislature. So I created the Virginia Progressive Caucus because I noticed within our own party we didn't have enough support for progressive values. Even Democrats supporting defunding our public schools was disgraceful. And so the outlet that we have with the Virginia Progressive Caucus that I founded, and I'm co-chair now, is to give people like you, to give progressive organizations an instant credibility. We are their mouthpiece. We have 24 members in both the House and the Senate, and we've had some significant victories over the last 5 years. And that's the kind of fight that I want to take to Washington, D.C. Now, some of the things that I've been working on over the last 5 years is prison reform. I went down to Red Onion, which is Virginia's Supermax prison. I've been there on a couple occasions. And a few years ago when we went down there, I spoke to a gentleman who'd been in solitary confinement 23 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 12 years. And I'm very happy to report that with working through the administration, doesn't help to talk to the Department of Justice, that we have now reduced the number of people that are in solitary confinement by 70%. It's no longer what we do anymore, as that's where you stay, because 90% of the people that are in solitary will eventually be released. And people that are in that situation suffer serious mental illness, and they need to be helped, and they need to have the services. And so Virginia has been successful in that regard. The other thing that I've championed over the last few years is shackling of pregnant inmates, both transferring to the doctor's office or during labor and delivery. We no longer do that anymore because of my efforts in Virginia. We no longer shackle pregnant women. The third area that I've been working on in prison reform is, and I've also been working to the federal level with Chairman Clyburn of the Federal Communications Commission, is to lower prison rates. I bet you didn't know this, but when an inmate calls home to speak to their family, to their loved ones, we charge in Virginia 35% commission on top of already the high rates that they have. those are generally poor people that are paying this cost. And in Virginia, we take that money and we put it into our general fund. And that's just disgraceful. And I've been working over the years to try to get that lowered. Now, I was unsuccessful this year in Virginia, but I am very happy to report as of Tuesday, thanks to the Federal Communications Commission, I testified last year before them with Chairman Clyburn's help, we have eliminated all commissions that for phone calls that are out of state. And so what that's going to mean, that's going to put a lot of pressure on the state of Virginia and every single state across the country, that if you charge these commissions for interstate, so within the state, if you charge these commissions interstate, then you've got to put it towards prison reentry. So thank goodness for the Federal Communications Commission for doing that. I enjoyed working with them, and we've also made it much easier now for families to stay connected to their loved ones. The other issue that I've been working on professionally is implementing the Affordable Care Act. Now, I've been a healthcare government affairs for the last 20 years. I'm an expert in Medicare and Medicaid policy, and I've been working during that time to expand healthcare to the majority of Americans. With the Affordable Care Act, if you think about the Affordable Care Act as probably the single greatest domestic policy achievement in the last 50 years, by expanding coverage, by expanding access, and by improving quality, that will help save lives and lower costs. And that is a major, major achievement. One of the reasons why I want to go to Congress, this will be a big emphasis of mine. You know, despite what the Affordable Care Act has been able to accomplish, there's 20 million Americans that have no coverage at all, even if we expand all the way across the 50 states. What I'd like to do is spend my time working on getting those 20 million people into coverage. And we can do it in a couple ways. We could probably offer some type of a catastrophic plan. We can offer some payment plans, or some plans rather, for no co-pays for preventive services. We can do many things to get these people into this system, and that's something that I want to work on. You know, we've lost a tremendous champion in the retirement of Henry Waxman. We have of course, Senator Edward Kennedy that passed away 4 years ago, but we also have Senator Max Baucus, who was the architect of the Affordable Care Act in the Senate, all gone. And so we're going to have a big hole that we need to fill, and I want to be one of the people that fill that health care need, because there's a lot that we can build on with the Affordable Care Act, and that's what I want to push. The other thing that I've been, thank you. The other thing that I've been quite successful on, and this is something that started very early on in life for me, is working in Special Olympics, working for people with physical disabilities. And I started out as a Special Olympics basketball and soccer coach, and I became chair of the Arlington Community Services Board, which, for those of you not familiar with Community Services Board, every jurisdiction in the state has one. They oversee all the policy and regulations for people with mental illness, people with substance abuse, and people with intellectual disabilities. And through the budget process over the last 5 years, I've authored budget amendments that have brought in well over 1,000 home and community-based waivers to help people with intellectual disabilities stay in their homes, stay with their families, and get the services that they need to be successful. They get the health care that they need, they get the employment services that they need, they have the housing that they need. They help them be the best possible people that they can be in our society, and I'm very proud of that. The other thing, of course, I've done is worked in Arlington. I co-chaired the 10-year plan to end homelessness. And what we've done there is we've done wraparound services for people that are homeless, people that have serious mental illness, offer them supportive housing so that they can be successful in our community. You know, the cure to homelessness is a home. And we've been able to place more people during that process and made them be successful than anything else. Let me just end with this. You know, thank you. President Barack Obama devoted the majority of his State of the Union speech a couple weeks ago to income inequality. This is a major, major issue that we've got to pay attention to. Over the last 30 years, the gap between the rich and the poor is getting wider and wider. Over the last 3 or 4 years, since we've come out of the Great Recession, total income for individuals at the top has risen 10%, while at the bottom it's lowered 10%. And that gap is accelerating. And so the things that we can do in Congress is to raise the minimum wage right now. We can giving people more money in their pockets will really stimulate our economy. It will be the jet fuel that we need for our economy. Think about everyone that can participate in society. They can buy groceries, they can go to the restaurants, they can buy clothes. Will really help our economy big time. And of course, investing more in our public schools, giving more job training. That's what we need to help people at the lowest income level. And that's what I'm committed to as your next congressman. Let me go ahead and stop there. That my time is out, and I'll be opening up for questions.